Hi, everybody. It says we are live, so welcome. I am Michelle Solis from This Must Be Ink. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Seekonk, Massachusetts. Welcome to my Friday night Stamp and Sip workshop where the weekend starts early. So this is where we stamp and sip whatever you decided to bring with you tonight. And I forgot what I was going to say, right out of my brain. Anyways, so everybody take a sip of whatever you brought. I am drinking some Oliver, I always want to forget what the name is, Melon Mint Moscato, which is delicious. So that's what I brought tonight. Everybody take a sip and we will get started with this cute little hidden message card. All right, let me get this out of the way. Not too much going on tonight, and there's too much stuff on my desk. Okay. Make sure I don't spill that. All right. I don't always stamp on a Friday night, but when I do, I'm stamping and sipping with all of you. So let's turn the camera down. Oh, I can't put that there. See, I won't be able to get the camera down. Okay. Hang on. Let's get the camera down here and get the light on. Okay, and then we will turn this around. There we go. All right, I think it has to go this way, and we need a little more light. Like that. All right, I think that should be good. All right. Okay, so this is the card that we're making tonight. I'm calling it a hidden message card. This was inspired by a card that I saw from Connie Stewart, I think, a very long time ago, and I meant to make it and I never did. And then I found it again and I was like, oh yeah, let's make this little card. So this has a little flap that opens. And then inside, it's got another little flap that folds over on top of your inside piece. And this is where you can write your little message. So you're going to have a little flap and then the front of your card. And what I love about this is you can show off a really nice big piece of designer series paper. And then you also get to see the other side of the paper. And I always love it when I can see both sides because the paper from Stampin' Up! Is just so beautiful. It's hard to decide sometimes which side to use. So I love it when I have a card that can show off both sides. Okay, this is very simple to make, but it does have a lot of pieces. So just stick with me. I will tell you all the measurements of the pieces, and then you can also join my email list because every Wednesday I send out a card PDF and next Wednesdays will be the written directions for this card. Okay. All right. So what we're going to need to get started, we are going to need a card base, and your card base is an odd size. This is going to be 5.5 by 6.5. Okay. Then you're going to need inside little layer that's going to be 3 by 4.25. And I did all of this in the same color. And then this one is a little piece for the outside layer. This is 1 3/4 by 4.25. And then you need another little piece. This is Calypso Coral of 1 3/4 by 2 3/4, and this is for the front. Okay, so then you've got some coordinating color. I'm using pale pink tonight because that's going to coordinate with my designer series paper. You're going to need a piece that's 4 by 5.25. That's the inside layer, and then this is an outside layer at 2 1/8 by 5.25. Okay, then you need your little pieces. This is your insert for your message inside. This is just basic white, and it is 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. And then you're going to need your little piece for the front. This is teeny tiny, isn't it? But look at when you get it on the front of the card, it doesn't look so small. But it is 1 1/2 by 2 1/2. Okay, so those are the cardstock pieces that you need. And then you're going to need a piece of designer series paper. I got to turn the heater off 1 second. Okay, I have a heater in here and I'm now all of a sudden very hot. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining. Okay, so we've got a piece of designer series paper, and this one is 4 inches by 10 1/2. Now, mine is 12 inches because I didn't cut it down. So let's cut this down. So this is the piece that you're going to score for this little fold here. Okay, so first we're going to take this 4 inches by 10 and 12 inches, and we're going to cut it down to 4 inches by 10 1/2. All right, so that's the first thing we need to do. Let's cut that down. Is that the way I like it? Let's go this way. 10 1/2. I want to get some more florals in there, so I'm going to cut it this way. All right, so what we're going to do is score that. This is the piece that's going to end up on my front flap. Okay, so we're going to score this at 1 5/8. And be careful when you're doing designer series paper, don't score too hard. So 1 5/8. And then 2 3/4. Five 3/8. And then 8 inches. Okay. So that's going to make that nice fold on the front there. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do is score our card base. So again, this was 5 1/2 by 6 1/2, and we're going to score it with the 6 1/2 inch side to the top. We're going to score it at 2 1/4. Okay, and then that's it. That's all we need to do. And we're going to put it together. All right, so I'm going to fold my card base. Hi, Lynn. Yes, happy Friday. So I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. Okay, so that's my card base. Now we're going to fold our designer series paper. So you're going to see, got something stuck to the back of it. You're going to see that you've got your first 2 little panels are small. Then you have a large panel and a large panel. And, well, 3 large panels. Okay, so 2 small ones, 3 large panels. This last large panel, you're going to fold in, because this is the piece that's going to fold over. What is stuck on my, okay. It just doesn't want to go away. It's something sticky. All right, you're going to fold this one. This is the little panel that's going to fold over your inside message there. Okay, and then at the next score line, you're going to fold that inward as well. Okay, so you'll have this and then that, and then these 2 are going to fold back. Back, and then you've got one more, you're going to fold that back as well. Okay, so now you've got this. So you've got in, the next panel in, then back, and then back. Okay, that's what you've got. All right, the trickiest part of this is getting this panel adhered. But let's start with our card base. So on your card base, you're first going to put in your layer. So we're going to put this layer in first. Glue. Hi, Lorraine. Thanks for joining. Welcome back. My buddy's back. I don't have anybody to talk Stampin' Up with when you're away. Okay. All right, so we're going to put this in. We're going to center this up with even border all the way around. Okay. Then we're going to fold this flap, and you're going to take your other piece of your coordinating cardstock, and we're going to put it on this flap. Now, before you get excited, we are not, as usual, going to put this with a border, okay? This is a little bit different. We are going to glue this so that it lines up right with the edge of this panel. So you want to line up your edges on either side, and then you want to make sure that it's coming right to the edge of this panel. So you should get a border around the three sides and no border at this edge. Okay, and what that's going to do is it makes it look like you've got a card base with one solid piece on there, right? Okay, I can see it's a tiny bit too long right there. We're going to pretend it's perfect. Okay. All right, so then what we're going to do is take our panel of Calypso Coral, and we're going to put this one inside. Okay, and we're going to, again, try to line this up as best we can in the center. The main thing here is to just make sure that it looks straight. Okay, close this again. You're going to get your other little piece of cardstock, and again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to adhere it like this so it looks like all one piece. Okay, this creates that optical illusion that you get. All right, so we'll line this up side to side and right to the edge. So there you go. So now you look like you have a card base with a mat and then another mat. It looks like they're all one piece, right? Okay. So the tricky part, as I said, is getting this designer series paper on here. All right, because we're not going to glue this last flap down. You're doing the next to last flap. So fold this over. We're going to put some glue here. Okay, and this is the trickiest part. You want to line this up so that it's centered on this panel. So you're going to have to look at where your fold is here and your fold is there and kind of eyeball where the middle is here. And then you want to also try to get an even border top to bottom. But the main thing is just get it straight. Make sure it's not at any angle. Okay. So we're going to line that up and glue it down. Then you'll hold your flap in, fold this whole thing over, and you're going to bring your flap over, and then at this first score line, you're going to fold back, and we're going to just put glue on the back of here. So see that? It's going to just fit perfectly. So we're only going to put glue on the very edges of these three sides. And we're going to fold that. And so that should fit. You can see I did A little bit larger border here than here, but it's not the end of the world. It's still going to be beautiful. Okay. This one came out a little bit more even, I think. Still a little bit more here than here. But once you get it all decorated, you're not going to see that. All right, so that's how we put our card together. So now you've got your front fold opens and you have your little hidden message inside. So we're going to put in our little insert. We've got basic white. Of course, you can stamp a message on here if you'd like, or an image. And this is not going to fold all the way down. You're going to have a little raised part here. So don't squish it with your hand. And just get your insert in there. Okay. And then when you close this, we're going to now put a sentiment and your decoration on the front. Okay, so this paper was the Lovely and Beautiful paper, and I did not have the coordinating stamp set for that. So I am using my Gallery Blooms. That's what I used for this stamp here. So we're going to use this stamp from the Gallery Blooms. And then my little Sending My Love sentiment came from, did I put it away? Ah, here it is, my banner sayings. So these are so cute because there's teeny tiny little sentiments and they just fit so nicely in small places. So that's the sentiment that we're going to use tonight. All right, so first of all, where's my paper? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to heat emboss this. We're going to do some gold heat embossing with the flowers because you can see this paper has this beautiful gold accent. So I thought some heat embossing would be the way to go. All right, so we're going to bring in our Versamark. And we've got our little buddy. This is our embossing buddy that takes static off your paper. So we're going to do that so we don't get some stray embossing powder. All right, then we're going to stamp this. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink and stamp this flower. It's not, the whole image is not going to fit on here because it is a tiny piece, but we can get 2 of these pretty flowers on there and still leave enough room for our sentiment. Okay. Then we will get our gold embossing powder. Try not to mess this up. Fingers crossed, I've made it this far without messing up. I'm starting off April with a pact. We're not going to mess up. We're going to do it right. Okay. There we go. All right, let me just put this back in before I make a mess. All right, so what I decided to do with my little thing here is to use a coffee filter because it just makes it so much easier to get the stray embossing powder back in the jar. All right, there we go. Put this aside. And bring our heat gun in and get this to melt. You should warm your heat gun up a little bit, but I did not, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get going here. I'm going to try not to burn my fingers. There we go. All right, so now we've got our flowers with the gold embossing. So pretty. And then we're just going to color that real quick. So I've got some petal pink. This is dark petal pink. And I'm just going to do the outer edges of the petals. You can color the whole petal if you want to. But I'm just going to do the outer edges like I did on the last card. I can't tell which is the petal and which is the leaf. I think that's a leaf. All right, we're going to go over here. This is a petal and a petal. Okay, and then for the middle, I used some Calypso coral. There's a little bit of space in the middle of the gold where you can see some white paper. And then I'm going to use some old olive for the leaves. It actually makes it easier to stay in the lines when you do heat embossing. I can't tell if that's a petal, or I'm just going to make it green. It's green. It's a leaf. There you go. It's my interpretation. Okay, and there we go. All right, so now, oh, I forgot one. There we go. All right, so now how am I going to get this tiny little area? How am I going to get that in there? So you can see on this one, I broke up the sentiment. I did sending and then my love underneath. So let me show you how to do that. There's two ways. Where's my ink? Here we go. So we've got Calypso coral. So what I did is because I can see through my stamp, I held it over my stamp pad and I can see the space between the G and the M. And so I just lined it up. So I'm just going to dip it into the ink pad, just getting the sending on there. So if you don't trust yourself to do that, my suggestion would be to use a piece of Scotch tape, or you could use a little piece of a Post-it note. Turn your stamp over and put the tape over the words, that you do not want to get ink on. Okay? And then go to your ink pad and ink up your word. And that way, if you get some extra ink on here, you can just take this off. Now, throw this right away so you don't get it on your fingers or anywhere else. Throw it right away. All right, then you're going to hit your stamp your greeting right on your little piece. Sending. Okay. Now, important, you have to clean it before you move on to the other half of the saying. Make sure you clean it. Ask me how I know. And then get another piece of tape. And now we're going to put it over the sending. And we'll ink up just the my love part. Take the tape off and throw it away. And then you'll get the second part of your saying. There you go. Sending my love. Okay. So we're going to just mat that with our other little piece of cardstock. And that's going to go right on the front. Of course, you could pop this up on dimensionals if you'd like. I'm just going to glue mine down. And just a reminder, this piece has to move. This side of the front has to move. So don't glue this down. Don't glue the whole thing down. Your glue only wants to be on the left hand side. You've got to leave some movement there so you can see the other side, the right hand side of your panel is not got any glue on it. All right, so how do I figure out where the glue goes? So let's line this up in the middle where we want it and flip it over. And you can see this score line right here. You know that you don't want any glue to the right of that score line. So we're just going to put glue on this side. Okay. And then we'll flip it back over and put it on. Okay, so then when you look, you should not have any glue on that side. If you do, you're going to glue this together and it's not going to open. Okay, and then I just have some little bling, maybe. Oh, and some little twine. So this is some retired twine that I love because it's gold. Anytime I do anything with heat embossing in gold, I try to use up this twine. So I'm going to put a little glue dot right there. I'm going to make myself a little tiny bow. Okay. And we will just, oh, hi, Julie. Thanks for jumping in. Get a little bow on there. And just cut off this long end. There we go. And then we've got some Pearls of Beauty. They have the Calypso Coral. So we can get those right on here. There we go. All right, so that is the card for the evening with the little hidden message inside. And it uses a nice big piece of designer series paper. So Julie should love it because she's trying to use up her designer series paper. All right, so there you go. So this is the one we did tonight. Let me show you a couple other samples. This one I did with the Nature Walk paper. And on this one, I embossed the panel that goes on the front here. I don't know if you can, oh, you know, you can see it. So this little panel has some embossing on it on this card. Give it a little bit more texture. And then this stamp image with the little trees comes from the Addressed to You set. Let me see if I can grab it. I think I put it away. Oh, here it is. So you've got the happy birthday here, and then you've got this little image. And these, again, are the perfect size to fit on a tiny little panel. Okay, so there's that one. And then the last one, of course, I had to get the bugs in, right? Of course I had to. So this last one is with the Cute as a Bug set and paper. Hello, friend, with your little message inside. And I love that you get to see both sides of the paper. All right, so that's it for me tonight. All right, let's go out of here. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. All right. Okay, so that's it for me tonight. This is going to get dark. Hang on. Okay. As I said, you can get all the written instructions and measurements for the card if you're on my email list. So go to thismustbeink.com, jump on my email list, and on Wednesday, I will send out the written instructions for this card so that you'll have them and all the measurements. You can watch a replay of the video, obviously, on my Facebook page for around 30 days, but then you can find it again on the YouTube channel, This Must Be Ink. Okay, so that's it for me. Everybody have a great weekend. Have a happy Easter. I hope you are all celebrating however you celebrate, or maybe you're celebrating Passover. But regardless, have a great weekend. And stay crafty, my friends. See you next week.